Hey guys, this is Kirob speaking, and today we are in Pro Cycling Manager 2019 and we are going to take a look at the stages of the Tour de France 2019, which is starting today. Also, I'm going to start off the Let's Play that is going to go in parallel with the Tour de France 2019, and one stage at a time each day, apart from the rest days of course, and we're going to try and win it for our team. And let's get started with this little overview so that we get a grasp of what the general strategies are, like where the weighting of the stages is, if it's more mountainous, if it's more on time trial, if there are any special stages where you really need to watch out, where the rest days are positioned, and so on. Let's take a closer look. We're kicking off the Tour de France 2019 with a flat stage with some cobbled climbs. And a cobble section there as well, and those are not the most lenient of climbs. They are quite well-known ones. Borsberg, for instance, yes, but they are very early on in the stage. So, of course, no prologue this year. So this stage will be super hectic because whoever wins this one will wear the yellow jersey, which is quite a prestigious thing, of course. So. Two of these cobble climbs right in the first third of the race, so not really affecting the outcome of the race unless there are crashes, but I mean, if they crash at like 10 kilometers an hour with how steep these things are, so it's not that much of a problem. And then we have just another little climb over here. They're just going to ride straight across it. It is quite undulated towards the end, and we have a reasonably flat run into the finish. So it will be a nervous first stage, and you are going to see a lot of fighting getting back to the escapees after a long chase. Overall, when we're just looking at these numbers, we seem to be having a lot of long stages, over 200 kilometer stages, and a lot of shorter stages as well. And not so many medium standard length stages, which I would say is around 180 kilometers. The second day is a team time trial of just 27 kilometers in length. Reasonably flat, slightly undulated. And while we're at it, let's point out that there is just one more time trial in the time trial city, and that is Pau. And we do have another 27 kilometer time trial right there. And that is an individual time trial, as it is stage number 13. Slightly hilly, but nothing major. And that means this year's Tour de France doesn't have much time trial. There's 27 kilometers for the team and 27 kilometers of individual time trial in a bit of hilly setting. So, not much time trialing. Stage number 3, holy, that will be quite the thing to watch. The last third of the race, that is something you need to tune into, because that will be killer. These are all really, really good climbs. Short, steep ones. Max steepness on this one, 18%. And also a climb really close to the finish, or close enough to the finish. And the finish itself is also uphill. Quite steep to the line. So this stage will be won by a puncher, unless the escapees get through, but on stage number 3 I can't see that happen, especially not after a team time trial day. Stage number 4 mostly acts like a flat stage, bit of a climb there towards the end, but that is not something that really bothers the hardcore sprinters nowadays. They are so good at riding these hills too, so yeah, it's fine, they will make it across. Stage number 5, a bit more, this is almost not hilly, but ever so slightly mountainous. We have 2 climbs towards the end. The first one here is, yeah, about-ish, let's not really count the flat bit there. It's about 5 kilometers of good steep-ish climbing. So, significant, you can't just roll over that one. And then we have another 5 kilometer long climb, also just averaging around 6% though. And that is about peaking 15 kilometers away from the finish, around there. So, too far away to really matter. And it might be such that if the teams are really pushing, then you will see a small peloton arriving and maybe 50, 60 riders instead of 150 or whatever. And probably a mass sprint still, because this is not quite hard enough. But you never know how cruel and punishing they are riding up these climbs. They're certainly long enough to splinter the peloton. Stage number 6, whew, yeah, okay. First proper mountain stage, a first week proper mountain stage with a mountain finish. Very nice. This is the first stage where you really will be able to see the first glimpse of the favorites to win the tour. And usually, of course, you would want to fitness peak more towards the end of the tour, where there's a higher density of mountain stages. As you can see down here, that's a lot of mountain stages coming there. Yes, we're not there yet. While in the first 5 stages there's a lot that can go wrong, there's not much that these GC favorites can do right either. And in this stage, it is the first stage where they can do a lot of things right and also properly fail and lose 2 minutes. Because this climb, that is brutal. There are some flatter sections in there for sure, but also some steep ones. Maximum gradient of 22%. That doesn't sound like fun, but lots of climbing this stage. This will certainly be a rough day. Just 164 kilometers, but with so much climbing, it's still a very hard day, and we still haven't seen the first rest day. And then we have the longest stage of this year's Tour de France, 231.6 kilometers long. And that is a bit of climbing and very undulated terrain in the first half of the race, slightly more than half, and then pretty flat towards the end. So this is a very classic, well, it's also a classic length, basically classic race length. And there you will probably see a mass sprint. But after such a hard day, and depending on the weather and the wind, of course, you might also see a group of escapees succeed because of how rough this first half of the stage is. If the wind is favorable to the peloton, then I would definitely bet on the peloton getting there and ending in a mass sprint, though. Stage number 8, still no rest day. What is this? This is cruel. And that is a proper hilly stage. Some real climbing to do there as well. 6 kilometers of climbing there, 4 kilometers there, 8 kilometers, 6 kilometers, 6 kilometers, and 4 kilometers. Yeah, that is a significant amount of climbing. Definitely, this stage is probably what I think the first stage where a breakaway will succeed. Stage number 9, 164 kilometers, and some climbing here and there. This one is absolutely brutal. Holy shit! 3 kilometers at an average gradient of 12%. Yeah, that hurts. The climb here towards the finish is a bit too far away from the line to really matter for the GC. Also, it is way too short with just 3 kilometers in length. Can't get that much time on such a short climb, and it's not steep enough for that either. It's good steepness, don't get me wrong. It's between 8 and 9% there, but yes, mostly downhill towards the line, so quick finish. I also see the peloton split up a little on this stage, but there will probably be a mass sprint. And then we have the last stage. Oh my god, last stage before the rest day, which is between stage 10 and 11. And yeah, okay, I see why you classify it as a flat stage, but it is rarely flat. There is a lot of undulated terrain, up and down all the time, and these riders have not had a rest day in 10 days. Okay, the team time trial on day 2 is not that hard a day, you could argue, but they still need to do a warm-up of several hours before that, so it's not easy either. So this, yeah, I can also see escapees succeed on this one. On the other hand, oh no, stage 11 is another chance for the sprinters there before we get into the mountains. Alright, so let's go to stage number 11 and 280 kilometers at stage 10. rest day, and then an easy stage. Very welcome at this point. This definitely will end up in a mass sprint, and then we go to the second mountain stage, just over 200 kilometers long, and some proper climbs. That is big. This is kind of a Nibali layout for getting to the line first. Basically ends on a downhill, but it flattens out towards the end. So you definitely are not just pacing yourself downhill, but you have to put in quite a bit of effort to keep that speed up when it flattens out there too. And that is a proper climb. 10 kilometers of steep climbing. Yeah, that is another GC, probably a small group of riders from the GC, like 10 to 15-ish, will be crossing this one together, and maybe someone is trying something in the downhill or attacked before. Maybe the escapees are getting through here too, who knows. Then we have the time trial we already talked about, 27 kilometers. Yeah, it's medium time trial. Medium time trial, so you don't need to be an expert in time trial this Tour de France, but you certainly need to be more than just decent. And then, oh man, we are finishing on top of the Tourmalet. Oh yes, oh yes. This will be quite the thing to watch. The stage is just 121 kilometers long, but with that finish, that is making for some good television. Stage number 14 to the Tourmalet. And yeah, 19 kilometers of climbing at an average of 7.5%. Nice. The next stage, number 15, is a bit longer. Also a mountaintop finish after stage 14, which also was there. Longer stage 185, yes, and that finish flattens out somewhat to the end, but has massively steep sections. So it offers plenty of opportunity for reasonably early attacks in the climb, in the final climb. And there's a lot of climbing, of very steep climbing, as you can see there, of very steep climbing beforehand, where people are ground down to a little mush, which is crying for their mummies. Well, not really, but yes. So lots of climbing on this one, mountaintop finish, and this one is the last stage before the last rest day, which is between stage 15 and 16. And then, once again, we get into a flat stage. This is another chance for the sprinters, if they have survived the mountains and not given up after the first week or after encountering the Tourmalet. And then we move on. Yeah, I can't see escapees really succeeding here, not after a rest day. And then we have an interesting little stage. I can't really see anything particular happening here, but some attacks might go through on this one. Someone who has lost a lot of time on the Tourmalet or one of the other mountain stages. This might be a chance, but the finish is still quite far away from the peak here. It's about-ish 10 kilometers to go from the top. And half of that is flat. So, and difficult. But overall, a reasonably easy stage despite its length. And then we get into the final challenges. Massive climbing day, 3 big climbs to conquer. Galibier is the last climb of the day, and it finishes right down there at the bottom of the slope. So this is something where you can certainly get a lot of time if you get to the top first and are a good downhiller. It's also quite cruel that you get the long mountain stage first. Although with professional cycling these days, it's like if the stage is shorter, it just means they're riding so much harder that overall, maybe the shorter stages are even a little harder than the long stages because you don't get quite enough time for resting at all during the stage. An interspersed mountain stage that looks a little bit easier at first glance, and that is, well, just 125 kilometers, but easier is very relative looking at these things. Yes. Also, mountaintop, no, not quite mountaintop finish. There's a bit of flat here towards the end, like 2 kilometers or so of flat. And that means that you you probably will see a small group finish first there instead of just a single rider getting to the line himself. And then the last mountain stage of the Tour de France. That is a big climb. It's not the steepest of climbs. I remember back in the day when I was planning a cycling trip to France, I wanted to ride up this mountain. Well, I never traveled there. That's probably why you're speaking to me today, because otherwise I would be quite dead. Yes, and this one is 33 kilometers worth of a steady grind, mostly steady grind, up to the ski resort. That is killer on the last mountain day. And then we have our classic finish. A classic finish to the Champs-Élysées. And that will conclude the Tour de France. And well, where do I see this headed? I think it is a really interesting mix that has quite a lot of difficult mountain finishes. And I would see a climber doing really well. That may not be the ultimate time trialer, like in some of the Tour de France layouts that we have seen in recent history, let's say. So, yeah, I certainly see a climber getting through on the top here, and it doesn't look quite like it is made for punches this time around. For punches, we really only have stage number 3. We have... you could almost argue that this one might be something for Puncher, who's also a good mountain rider in general. And maybe stage number 19, as this climb isn't all that hard. They are probably going to be able to hang with them, although depends on the speed of the race. So as you can see, there's not that much opportunities for punchers in this Tour de France. Plenty of opportunities for climbers, and very few opportunities for time trialers. And I'm very much looking forward to starting that in a parallel Let's Play that also will be starting today, but that will be in a separate video. And I will see you there, and I hope you enjoyed, and see you guys next time.